Welcome to the Roy Morgan Weekly Update, and what an interesting few days it's been. A look at the key weekly indicators show it's been a good week for the Albanese government, even before the disturbing news about former Prime Minister Scott Morrison taking on the ministerial responsibilities of several cabinet colleagues without telling the public. This all happened after the survey, so has not yet had an opportunity to have an impact on this week's results, but it will next week. So this week, ALP support is up slightly on a two-party preferred basis, up 0.5 percentage points to 53, and well ahead of the coalition on 47%. They're down 0.5, obviously. And now more Australians say the country's going in the right direction than say the country is going in the wrong direction, 43.5% to 38.5. So the Roy Morgan government confidence rating has increased to 105, up 3.5%. And consumer confidence has rebounded from the hit it took the previous week. The latest ANZ Roy Morgan consumer confidence rating is up 3.9 points to 84.2, its highest number for nearly 2 months since late June, but still well below 100, that 100 mark when you've got equal amounts of people positive and equal amounts negative. We now look at petrol prices, a kind of marker that we've seen for how people are feeling. And the average petrol price has dropped consistently since reaching a high of $2.12 in early July. And it's dropped now below $1.70 per litre for the first time for nearly 4 months since late April. This is much closer now to the longer term average. And as we can see from this chart, consumer confidence has not reacted strongly to petrol prices in recent weeks, but the drop of the last few weeks may be starting to have an impact, with consumer confidence increasing by, as we said earlier, 3.9 points, its largest weekly increase so far this year. But of course, if the petrol excise is restored to its full amount next month and petrol increases, we can expect a negative impact on consumer confidence. If we look now at consumer confidence over the longer term, we see the measures stabilised now between 80 and 85 over the last 2 months since early June, and that's despite 4 successive interest rate increases since early May. But remember, 80 to 85 is really low, and this is in fact lower than immediately after the global financial crisis, so stabilising at that low level is far from good. Now, we look at inflation expectations. Every week, Roy Morgan asks Australians what they expect inflation will be annually over the next 2 years. And the latest data shows Australians expect inflation of 5.8%, up 0.2% on last week. Our inflation expectations, or the inflation expectations of Australians, have been fairly stable over the last 2 to 3 months in a range from 5.5 to 6% since late May. Pretty close to what it's actually been. Now, looking at Victoria, which faces a state election in just over 3 months. The latest Roy Morgan Snap SMS poll on state voting intention was conducted August 11 to 13, after the publicity over the scandals surrounding the opposition leader and his staff. And the data shows the incumbent ALP government, led by Premier Daniel Andrews, is well on top. The ALP is on 60.5% on a two-party preferred basis, up 1 percentage point from early July, and way ahead of the coalition on 39.5. And the latest consumer confidence rating in Victoria shows a big improvement over a week ago, up 6.8 points to 86.3, and is clearly above the national figure. If we look now at a head-to-head contest between the leaders in Victoria, it's a huge lead for Premier Daniel Andrews, even larger than a month ago. Nearly 2/3 of Victorian electors, 66%, up 1.5 points since early July. That nearly 2/3 of Victorians say Daniel Andrews would make the better Premier. Only 34% nominate Matthew Guy, now known as Matt Guy. The results of the latest Roy Morgan Snap SMS poll show that even shortening his first name might not be enough for Matthew Guy to lead the LNP coalition to victory this year. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to joining you next week. Discussion about Morrison's actions is likely to dominate the media over the next few days, and the political fallout will be seen in next week's results. Take care and see you next week.